Hello, Uggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to look at a question, a rather complicated one, sent from Dave, W7FCK. Okay, he says, "Hey Dave, I wanted to thank you for your videos. They're helpful, and it looks like you put a lot of effort into them over the years." Oh, I have, yes. I wanted to ask for your advice. Here are my goals. Talk to a friend in Chicago. Okay. Have stronger VHF, UHF. Use digital modes like FT8, RIDI, and WinLink, FT8 being the popular one. You won't find much RIDI except when there are contests. Use CW. Good for you. I would like to experiment with my own protocols eventually. Remember that using a protocol that's different from anything published, you need to identify at the end with CW, because the FCC doesn't know what your protocol is. But if you publish it like in QST or something like that, and it's a published protocol recognized by like the Tucson Area Packet Association and so on, that's okay. Build my own antenna eventually. That's probably one of the easiest things to do right there, is build your own antenna. What I have where I'm starting at, Hack RF, one, just starting playing with other people workflows in GNU, which is new, which is Linux. FT3DHT, Nano VNA starting at 0, Tiny SA starting at 0. I'm going to tell you that Nano VNA is not a straightforward thing to use to analyze antennas. You have to go a couple levels deep in the menu, and then it will work as an antenna analyzer. But then they keep changing the menu. So there you go. Okay, my problem. Cannot access some UHF, VHF repeaters because my HD doesn't pick them up. My SDR doesn't either. Okay, you need an external antenna, an antenna outside your home. For 2 meters, it could be simple as a J-pole. You can buy J-poles, you can get them made of twin lead rolled up, you can make your own J-pole, which is probably the easiest thing to do. If you've ever done any plumbing, it's the same kind of plumbing that you do for just regular copper plumbing. Although nowadays they're going to plastic, and plastic isn't going to work for you. You got to do it out of copper. Okay, you can make them out of wire. Okay, so you need an external antenna. Considering building an antenna, but my wife doesn't want to have anything unsightly in the yard. I don't know. I think my antennas are beautiful. But yeah, I understand. Fortunately, my wife is a ham, so she at least understands. And I do keep them in the back of the house, not in the front of the house, so that makes it a little bit easier. My problems, let's see. Considering building an antenna, okay, don't have enough experience to know what the trade-offs are between radios. Well, there definitely are trade-offs. Everything is a trade-off. What I plan to do short-term, build QCX Plus with a 50-watt amp. Yeah, you can do that. Buy a base station and an antenna. Let's see what grade your license is. W7FCK, I think, is a general. We're going to go to QRZ.com and look up W7FCK. Yeah. Mohammed David Rameni is in Seattle, and he is a general. Okay, he's a general. Okay, what I would like to do is introduce you to the reference station. The reference station is found at www.dkassler, Ler with a D in front of it, .com/reference. Okay. I've had many people ask me, what radio do I buy, what this do I buy, and so on. What I have done is I have put together a complete general station. At this point here, it's got the transceiver, the cabling, the power supply, everything that you need is all in one place. It's based on the ICOM 7300. Now, it's not the cheapest station. For that, you could try the Yaesu FT450 or something like that. But a lot of the elements that you're going to buy, you got to buy anyway. So I put in the ICOM radio because I think that is a radio that will delight you as a new general and will continue to delight you for years to come. Okay? It's a very nice station. If, unless you have strong reasons otherwise, and you want to put a station together, I'd start with that reference station. It's not mandatory or anything like that, but I use that when I show things on the videos. For example, how to set up the 7300 to work with FT8 or something like that. I'll use the 7300. Now, if you want to also do what are called weak signal modes on UHF and VHF, you would use something like the FT991, which is a Yaesu product, FT991A. Don't get just the 991. But if you're just going to do FM on those bands, I'd go with just a standard mobile radio. The king of those radios, it's $400 radio, is the, let's see, it's the Anytone 578 UV, and get it from Bridgecom Systems because they are the importer in the USA that provides support. If you buy it from another vendor, you don't get the support that you would if you get it from Bridgecom Systems. And then you can use that for your UHF and VHF. I have separate UHF, VHF, and then I have the ICOM here. Okay. I would recommend, if you get the QCX Plus with the 50 amp, with the 50 amp thing, first of all, you're limited to CW. And if you're not already comfortable with CW, you find out that that's not going to help you. The most popular mode in use in ham radio today is FT8. Even more popular than single sideband. Single sideband would be the next most popular mode. Okay, buy a base station. Again, I recommend the ICOM 7300, which will then give you CW at 100 watts, or less if you want less, all built into that radio. It's a very nice radio. It's a all-mode radio, so it's got CW, single sideband, AM, and both upper sideband, lower sideband. It has a single jack in the back where you can connect a USB to your computer so that you can do like FT8 or PSK31 or RTTY, or even CW for that matter, via the computer. Okay, very nice radio. Has a built-in antenna tuner that will tweak an antenna that's close. If you've got some weird antenna that you're putting up, you may have to have an external antenna tuner, in which case you turn the antenna tuner in the ICOM off. You don't want the two antenna tuners fighting each other, which will happen if you do that. Okay. What am I currently thinking? In order to solve my reception problem in my HD, I was considering building an antenna. I still have more research to do in this, but I was hoping to find something I could stick outside my window while it is in use and bring it in when I'm done. Does something like this exist? Absolutely. I have a kit that was for building a dual band J-pole for 20-40 meters. The kit was about $100. If you go to Ed Fong's website, Fong, F-O-N-G, and look up what he's got there. He's got a variety of antennas. Actually, what you can also do, and I've done this before, is just build a J-pole and then attach your cable to it and then stick it in one of the vents on the roof, not to go down inside the vent, but to go down to where the crossbar is, down to that point. Just leave it in the vent right there, and nobody will notice it's there because it's up on the roof. Okay, I also thought, because I don't have HF on my HT, yeah, and you won't, and my Hack RF1 doesn't have high power output, it has very low power output, figured I'd buy a base station that could do HF, VHF, UHF. Well, that would be the FT991A, if you really want to do that. And that will still work on repeaters because the FT991A does FM also. Two radio combo, yeah, I don't quite understand how the 9700 fits in the market. The 991 is about 1.2K, yeah. Okay, I'd recommend either of those radios, but I think you're going to find on HF that your HF mobile rig, like the 578 and Yaesu Kenwood and ICOM all make very good mobiles. Now, if you want to do digital on VHF, UHF, such as DMR, D-Star, or C4FM, you're going to need to get one of those Yaesu radios. Yaesu, ICOM, or Kenwood radios that do that. The FT991A will not do DMR, D-Star, or C4FM. It might do C4FM on VHF, so you can check those out, okay? From what I have gleaned from your videos, it seems that these radios are software-defined radios. All the radios these days are at least partly software-defined. The ICOM IC7300 is a fully software-defined radio. It's just a way of building radios. You know, it's like they do the same thing, okay? I lost track of the paragraph here. What I have gleaned from the radios, it seems like that some of these radios are SDR, not all of them, and that they let a computer to encode digital modes and send it through the radio. The computer for doing that is in the radio, okay? You don't need a separate computer for that. There are radios out there made by American manufacturers, quite expensive, that do some of that. But your ICOM, Kenwood, and Yaesu are your three big choices. You've also got Elecraft, which is an American maker. Their radios are very pricey, although very good. And you've got the one whose name I can never remember out there too. SDR, if correct, this is a function that is present on both HF radios mentioned before. The ICOM is entirely SDR. The Yaesus are all still hybrids. They've got the front end is made with mixer technology. That's HF, the older HF technology, but those mixers have been brought to a state of high perfection, and you will find that they work very, very well. Okay, and so are they both 100 watts? Yes, they are. I don't think the frequency ranges are the same in HF. Yes, they are, but it is hard to tell what I actually need. You need all the bands, the HF bands from 160 through 6. Another potential option would be an amplifier, the Hack RF1. No, don't do that. The Hack RF1 barely meets FCC requirements as it is, and it's got some garbage stuff in there. If you were to put an amplifier on that, you amplify the garbage as well, and the net result won't meet FCC requirements. One would think I might need multiple amplifiers for different bands. No, if it's HF, it'll cover all the bands. I feel like the FT991A is close, but I just can't close the gaps myself yet. Can you provide some insights? If you want to do some weak signal work, meaning single sideband or CW, on VHF and UHF, then get the 991A. It's much less expensive than getting the Icon Duo. For antennas, my problem is that my wife doesn't want to see it, so I would need something relatively small. No, going small is not the answer. Although you could go with an octopus from MFJ and put it over in a corner of the yard or under a tree where someone wouldn't see it. Or you could go with the square, what do they call it? I'll think of it in a minute. That MFJ makes. It looks like a clothesline. What I would recommend actually is you do something like the My Antennas 8010 end-fed half-wave antenna. It's made of gray wire. You don't have a coax hanging down from it because the coax goes on the end. I've done some videos on this. And the gray wire is just really hard to see. And so you can set that thing up, and it's just a wire, single wire in the air, with no great big cables hanging down and sitting on the backyard or stuff like that. Might be an antenna that is fairly pleasing. You know, you and your wife are going to have to come to some sort of agreement on accommodating both of your hobbies. For antennas, something relatively smaller, smallest feasible to accomplish your goals. Size matters in antennas. You can go with the mag loop, but they're hard to use. I don't recommend them as first antennas. The actual reference station antenna is the MFJ 2010, and it's 66 feet long, and it does have a coax hanging down a third of the way down the antenna. So that's why I'm recommending the My Antennas. Do you know of anything I could set up quickly and then stow when not in use? That's going to be a royal pain. You're going to want to come to some sort of agreement with your wife for at least an antenna you can leave out. And that would be, I recommend the My Antennas end-fed half-wave there, which will take you up to, it goes 80 to 6. Not going to get all of 80, but you get a portion of it. Let's see. I know there is a bunch of information here, so if you want to tackle a little at a time, that's fine too. I'm open to talking instead of emailing. I don't consult because I can't. There's just too many questions. I'm about 175 questions behind. Okay, so there you go. That's what I'd recommend for you. I hope that brings you back around to more mainstream equipment, more mainstream ways of doing anything. I really recommend against a newcomer starting with low power equipment. QRP is not the way to start ham radio. I know there are lots of people who disagree with that. And you might be okay on CW, but your first HF station, get something that can get you some contacts, get an antenna that can get you some contacts, and then as you get used to how the ham bands work, then you can try QRP. I have tried QRP. I have a whole stack of QRP radios right there, different bands and so on and so forth. So I hope that helps answer your question. If you have been listening this far to this video, I would ask you to please subscribe to this channel. Subscribing tells YouTube that this is a channel that should be shown to other people too. Please also share this video, like the video, all that good stuff. If you would like to support this channel financially, you certainly can. Go to dcasler.com/support. And you can find several different ways in there that one might work for you to support this channel. From as simple as a one-time tip, as low as $1. The lowest tip I've received is like $1. The highest is, well, rather considerably higher than that. You can also subscribe. You can also do Patreon. and so on. There are lots of different things that you can do. And that helps me bring you this information. So, until we next meet, 73.